Hey everyone, what's up? I have a haircut, you may have noticed that. Well done you. I'm also here to bring you another deck today. In fact, this time we're going to be revisiting Big Woodland, the Woodland Spirit deck that relies on having a lot of huge monsters and Thrive units that really get you the power in both long and short rounds, but particularly short rounds, where you can just outpower your opponent with things like ghouls who are eating your recite, the units that you've played earlier in the game for huge amounts of value. I'm playing a bit of a weird version maybe. Not sure what the typical version exactly is at the moment, but I'm running a lot of my usual cards that I think are very good. The Witches, the Unicorn Chironex. Not running things like Alza's Double Cross and Weaves Incantation, which, sometimes see play in these lists because they synergize well with the big units. But I'm not going to be running them. Instead, we've got this list, as you see here. And really today I just wanted to look at the deck, play a couple of games with it, see how well it actually is performing. And I wanted to, of course, make sure monsters got a little bit of the spotlight. Don't want to leave any of the factions out when I'm making videos, because some of you guys, of course, want to play monsters. So, what have we got? Well, we've got the big units. We've got Spear Tip, Goliath, Old Spear Tip. I could be running Count Caldwell. I don't have it. I think he's a little bit risky sometimes, but that would definitely be a good inclusion in the deck if you wanted to run it. Ghoul and Osriel, of course, might not have enough targets if we're not drawing into these really big units. So you could consider putting a Caldwell in for something. Maybe even taking Witches out. I don't know how that would play out, but you could try that. For now, we're going to be running these. Just 3 of the large guys. Goliath, I think, is very good. Yeah, Spear Tip and Old Spear Tip. No problems there, guys. They're just big, chunky dudes, work really well with Ghoul and Osriel, which are, of course, the finishers for the deck. It's really nice because you can, of course, use the massive tempo that these big boys give, and then effectively get it again. It kind of works as a carryover play in many ways, allowing you to get a very high value but low provision Ghoul later in the game. Something like 10, 14, whatever, for 8 provisions, really, really solid. So Ghoul and Osriel are going to be your finishers. These guys are going to be your big tempo plays. We have Witches for tempo as well. And Imlerith's Wrath is also a really nice card. It can just do immense amounts of damage, especially in round 3, or even earlier. A little bit of removal as well if you need it. And it has synergy with, of course, the Woodland Spirit ability. You can even buff your Woodland, you can use your Woodland to buff up a Spear Tip or something if you have to. Get a massive unit and then just completely go to town with Imlerith's Wrath, if they have, a similarly big unit to destroy. So that's quite a neat thing. Apart from that, we have Wild Hunt Riders for a bit of extra thinning as well as the Witches. We have Forktail because it works quite nicely with the Ancient Foglets. In fact, let's just actually, I just realised we should probably only play one Ancient Foglet if we only have one Forktail. Otherwise, they might not find the value. It's a bit of a, you could go either way on that one, but that'll work. And 2 Werewolves, because they're immune, they're okay. Not really a problem there. Immune for 4 for 4 is pretty good, and it works well against a lot of the artifact stuff that people are playing. They want to get immediate value with a spear. You play your immune guys first, and they won't get that. What else do we have? Neckers. They might be a little bit vulnerable, honestly, and I was considering not putting them in, but a lot of people are running them, so I figured why not give them a go. Maybe they only get removed in some matchups, and even if one of them survives, it's usually, okay value. If they get locked, you don't care. It's only a problem if, they get pinged off by something like Ithne or Bruver, or, decks that have 1 damage effects. But we've got Neckers, we've got Arc Spores, we've got Necker Warriors, Alpha Werewolf. These are all the Thrive units, which are just going to give us a little bit of a long round capability where we wouldn't otherwise have any. Not running Drowners here. There's not really enough provisions to run them in addition to Witches and other tools that this deck has right here. So that might be something you could try out yourself if you feel like it. Count Caldwell, Drowners are sometimes played in these big Woodland decks. Anyway, this is the version I'm going to be going with, and I just wanted to see, how well does this deck actually perform? It used to be very strong. Is it good now? It seems like it is, but we'll jump into some games now to find out if that is the case. Okay, guys, we're going to be against Mr. Calvite. I haven't seen too much of him in this patch. For those that are wondering if he actually is good, I thought he would be quite good with this patch, but in reality, he tends to be a bit awkward because you've already played a lot of your good cards when you want to play the Calvite in round 3. And that ends up making him kind of not worth very many points if he's fetching one of your weaker cards later on in the game. Anyway, let's mulligan a Witcher. I think that's fine to go with. We could then get rid of a Foglet as well, I think. Don't have the Forktail in hand to trigger that. So instead we'll just save it for later. Knackers are going to be really, really nice here if the opponent doesn't have ways to deal one instances of 1 damage, which they usually won't be able to, I think. We can definitely start with them, or we can start with Arc Spore. I think we start with Arc Spore because if they remove this, we care a lot less than if they remove Knackers. Arc Spore will of course give us some value anyway if it dies. And that's just going to make his, I guess, removal options a little bit wonkier, I guess you can say. But then we could definitely go with a Necker, and after that we'll have to decide whether we want to just commit bigger Thrive units and get the Thrive going, or play another Necker after that. Might be a little bit risky. If we go for so many low tempo plays, he'll be able to take a nice pass on 6 or 5 cards, something like that. But we'll see how it goes. Isabel of Hague is going to come down. We don't really have an answer to that, so I guess we can either just play another bunch of Neckers or our Necker Warriors. I think I'm happy to save Neckers for later because they will find the value against Nilfgaard. They don't tend to have too many instances of 1 damage, so I think just a Necker Warrior here and get the Thrive going is a good idea. We'll be able to burst ahead with the Witches or something like that if we need to. Honestly, Isabel of Hague is kind of a bit spooky. Oh, and he's going to copy her. Okay, so we might be up against some kind of mill deck. Seems like this might be what he's attempting to do with all this anti-thinning stuff, I guess. Going to take one of his cards. Okay, so this is really interesting. We probably don't want to play Witches, but then again, it might be good to get them out. If, you know, just to play them, because they are going to proc all of our Thrive units in extra time effectively. I think I'm fine playing it. It will mean we thin a bit more, but this deck doesn't run that much thinning. You know, we have Riders and we have Witches, and that's it. I guess he's happy about us thinning though. We'll see how much it matters. Of course, Mill can be quite scary, but we do need to catch up in points this round. He's going to take my card there. Interesting. Swap the power of 2 allies. Alright. Doesn't really do much to be honest. Nausicaa's going to be a really good answer to Neckers here. But okay, we can go with maybe another Necker Warrior now, just to proc all the Thrives another time. And after that we can go with a big unit probably. Or maybe even Forktail, because it will proc all of our 4-point Thrive guys an extra time effectively, which is quite cool. We also have to be wearisome of what he stole from us. In fact, we can probably work it out by looking at the rest of our deck. Oh. Okay, there's Chironex onto the board. That's a bit of a shame. I think he took a Ghoul at... Oh wait, no, we've got Ghoul in hand. So Osrel? Yeah, he took an Osrel. That's really nasty actually. He's going to be able to eat one of our big units, or even his own Tibor. So we've got to be a bit afraid of that, I guess. I don't really know what we do, honestly. Yeah, I mean, this is quite scary. We could go with the Forktail now, as we said before, but maybe we don't, actually. I think playing Spear Tip's okay here. We need to get the big units developed. Actually, maybe Goliath was better there. It would have got us ahead. I didn't do the maths, but yeah. I'm a little bit worried, guys. I'm not going to lie. I guess we played the Alchemist because it's the least valuable card here, but we do win the round, and that's good news. So now I think we want to try it our best to 2-0 the opponent. It's going to be quite scary because of course Osrel is just going to cause all sorts of problems for us. Now the opponent has it. But if we take some mulligans to try to improve the hand, maybe get rid of the Werewolf for starters. And potentially keeping Ghoul is okay, I think, for round 3. Can then get rid of maybe a Forktail here, won't be doing too much. Spear Tip's a nice draw. It's going to allow us to push pretty hard here. So I don't think we're that scared of him Osreling our big dude. He probably would rather use it on his own Tibor for more value. So, and you know, if he eats here, then we can of course play Spear Tip and Goliath this round and use them next round and not be too sad. So I think we'll just go with the Neckers to start, and then potentially Alpha Werewolf, just to get Thrive going and hopefully have those engines really, you know, outpower him. That would be ideal if we can make that happen. Alpha Werewolf time. This is going to be annoying, but what can we do really? It's going to probably deal with our Neckers quite nicely. We'll see if he has any more spying units though. And basically if we try to 2-0 him here, then we're going to have a better chance of beating him, I think, because you know, he's mill, so the more cards we draw, if we go to round 3 we draw 3 extra, and that will make his life quite easy, I imagine. So a little bit worrisome. We'll go with the Ghoul now and just eat up that Spear Tip. start proccing these thrives, and then we can go with Spear Tip ourselves. You know, the other Spear Tip and Goliath.
Here's our chance.
We're not going to be able to play everything this round, but whatever. However, maybe we can. It depends, right? If he kills our stuff or not, and all that. So, what are we going for? Goliath now, I think, is fine. Yeah, we're just going to play all our big units as a bleed, effectively, right? And he's going to hopefully be playing a lot of really low tempo stuff, and that might give us enough of an edge to take him out. Although these rot tosses are, of course, going to be really damn painful, it must be said. We can block the first one with good old Unicorn. I think we put the buff on Ghoul. It's kind of tricky, right? Because yeah, we want to block the second one maybe with our other Ghoul, and yeah, I think we have to do this to incentivize him to play his Rot Toss on this Ghoul. We'll see if he has another one, but if he does, then that'll be quite important. We have another Spear Tip though, and in combination with Woodland, it would be quite a lot of points. That's going to be quite a scary Vilgefortz, to be honest with you guys. I think we're still pretty happy to go with Spear Tip though, and I actually do believe it's correct to throw the Woodland ability onto it. The problem is we're then very vulnerable to a Rot Tosser. The alternative would be to just make a pass here, but then we're drawing 3 extra cards and we're probably just going to die to good old Mill. So I think we just go for it here, guys. Let's just make it happen. Big amount of points. Tell him that he needs to commit his Ozrael this round. If not, you know, other stuff as well. The one problem is if he has another Cow Carcass, I mean, we're probably just getting wrecked, right? That is the main issue with this. Calvi is going to come down though. For an Enforcer, okay. Now I'm kind of tempted to just play Endless Wrath, but I don't think I can. This is really tough, guys. I think we actually have to play the Ghoul. And just hope that he doesn't have a Rot Tosser in hand. If he does, I mean, you know, well played to him. He got all of his Rot Tossers, right? So I think we just go for it. Because we want to save Endless Wrath for as much value as possible. Yeah, I think we have to do it. I mean, maybe, like, either way we're in a kind of lose-lose spot, right? We can also just take the pass. You know, and require him to play his Cow Carcass here. Maybe passing is good. Our draws are going to be bad is the problem, and potentially we're going to have to deal with more milling stuff. Maybe we should pass. I don't know, guys. I'm going to go for it. I think I feel like risking it here. Don't know about you, but it's very possible he won't have a Rot Tosser. I think it's even quite likely that he won't have another one. Would be quite surprised if he did. Is that going to be Ozrael being played? Oh, it is, guys. Very cool. Oh, that is so good for us because we get to immediately delete it effectively. And we're going to do that. 15 damage, so we counter that play. We would have been in such a good spot if he hadn't taken the Ozrael as well. It's worth noting because that was such a valuable play for him. Now we'll see if he can make it. He might not be able to. He does need 10 points to actually get ahead. So who knows, the 2-0 plan might have actually worked out, guys. It doesn't look like he has a Rot Tosser, so I think gambling there a little bit was probably a good decision. Yeah, we got him. Very cool. Alright, we did draw pretty well, but I mean, that happens when they thin out all your bad cards with their witches and whatnot, doesn't it? So, pretty interesting game there, but that's a nice one to take as a win. Very cool. Alright, we'll jump into the next game now. Alright, game number 2. Let's get it done. Philavandrel going to be the opponent. I haven't really seen some of these decks that much. Some newer ideas being played potentially. So let's just get rid of probably the worst card here, which is Werewolf. We can keep all of our big units. Potentially having too many ghouls is also bad, so we'll get rid of one here. And the rest of the hand I'm pretty happy with. We have some Thrive, we have some of our big guys, we have Witches, we have the Riders all for thinning. So we should be able to get a lot done in this round, push him quite effectively, and also thin the deck. Set up the graveyard, do all that good stuff, and of course have finishers in hand for later. Hopefully this game will play out a bit more, I guess, normally compared to the last one. But we'll see just how it goes. So Nekka's pretty fine to start with here. We expect him to be playing dwarves if he's playing Philavandra with all the, hand buff synergy going on there. So the dwarves don't have many ways to kill these guys immediately, unless he's running something weird. Let's see what he goes with.
Let us sing the song of
Swordmaster.
steel.
Okay, so that's not a dwarf. That is the opposite of a dwarf, guys. I wonder what we do here. We can just play an immediate Thrive unit, maybe the werewolf to get these guys out of range. I think I kind of like that. Maybe Neca Warrior is the play. And we'll avoid going onto front row. I think that would be sensible. If he's playing Elven Swordmaster, that probably means he's playing elves and not dwarves. But still, he might have the guy that hits front row, the skirmisher. It's also possibility. Unlikely, but possible. Bit of a weird one. I haven't seen any for the Vandal decks, really, that aren't running dwarves, but maybe this guy is breaking the meta. It's possible. I mean, the carryover you get from him can be just good on anything in theory. But we'll see what we can do here. Maybe go Arkspawn next, Witches after that. It's likely going to be the plans. Just wanted to kind of keep a Neca alive there. At least for one turn, and in fact, we could even boost it up, and I think we do that with the tactical advantage. So let's go Arkspawn now, tactical advantage to keep it alive, and then... Because, he'll still get his Thrive value from the big units that we play later, so effectively by keeping him around, we're just getting a couple of extra points for free where we wouldn't, because he would be shooting it, of course. And if he has, extra damage that he uses to kill one of the others, but then it's maybe not quite working that way, but whatever. Either way, Witches will probably be our next play, and then we can go with Riders. And you just want to kind of curve out when you're running these Thrive units. You want them to be, if you have a 2-strength Thrive unit, you want to play your 3-strength unit on that turn rather than a 4-strength or whatever, because otherwise you're missing out on some value, right? So here we'll get that point, effectively a free point from the Neca. And probably after that we'll play another immune unit, or we can play the Riders depending on, how valuable we think another engine will be in this round. We can just play Riders straight up, actually, because there's kind of no reason not to, right? We don't have the werewolf won't get boosted by these anyway, so we can just do that as a thinning play immediately. And then choose to werewolf or not if we want the extra couple of points. Potentially saving it for later will be better. I kind of like starting with an immune unit as well, that feels quite good. Nice way to get stuff done. And this is probably going to be where he overtakes us. You assume Aileron's going to pop, and she does. So I think now Spear Tip is looking okay. We could go with the werewolf if we want to, play it risky, go one ahead of him. But I think Spear Tip into Goliath will be the better line here, the safer line of play. We really now need to make sure we're ahead of him in these next few plays. Play our big tempo out. Otherwise we'll fall too far behind, potentially, to even win, to even lose a card up. We might be sacrificing card advantage if we don't stay ahead. So, Spear Tip, and then probably Goliath, and then pass. If we're fortunate, he won't be able to overtake. And if he can, well, we're going to be in a bit of trouble in that situation. But I mean, you always expect to be in some kind of disadvantage, I think. When you're up against Scoia'tael, they have a lot of answers for the Necas, a lot of answers for the Thrive units. We'll see how it goes, guys. This is going to get him ahead by 1, he did do the maths. So that's a bit scary. We're of course still just going to hope that Goliath is good enough to get us there. He doesn't have like a leader or anything to kind of help him get to the finish line in terms of points, so that's nice. We'll just, hope that he doesn't have a solid 12 or whatever. He does have a couple of engines on the board, so that'll help him out, but if he doesn't get there, we get a nice pass. And if he does, yeah, once again, it's kind of not great for us, but it might not even be that bad. There's still a chance we can, potentially quite easily outpower him in round 3 with the hand that we have in conjunction with our leader. He's used all of his hand buff, sort of leader synergy in round 1 effectively, so his later rounds are going to be weaker than ours in terms of, the leader value. He's probably doing the maths, thinking if there's a way for him to actually overtake. We know he doesn't have Chironex in hand, so that's one less play he could have to get ahead. But Yavin will get the job done. I think now then we're pretty happy to play the werewolf since we're pretty much losing this on even anyway. We can play the kind of not amazing card and hopefully get something, you know, pretty decent from the opponent. The more we bleed him, the better it is for us as well, because we're going to be playing a shorter round 3, and yeah, going to rely on these really big cards to do that. Oh, and he's emoting. That's pretty interesting. Lots of emoters today. Maybe people just emote me, you know. They see Freddybabes, they know something's up, they know some janky things are happening, and they can't help it. They gotta just do the emotes. So now the kind of weaker plays from him will come out, but they'll still get him ahead. And we're going to be forced to take a pass with the Ghoul and Osrel in hand. Not going to cut it, but I don't even think it's that bad, guys. He's going to have some tool removal to actually, you know, be getting a lot of points in that round 3. We're going to be able to throw down quite a few big units, especially with our leader. He can bleed us, but then we probably won't be a card down. And if he doesn't bleed us, well, then we'll probably just be in a good spot, right? So here I actually think I keep this hand because I'm pretty happy, I'm pretty content to play a Neca Warrior. I want all the rest of my cards, and I'm going to have to make at least one play here. If he dry passes, that is. So effectively I may as well keep the Neca Warrior. If I draw into a good card, then it will feel kind of bad, because if he dry passes and I have to play a good card, we're not going to have that good card for later. But it does look like he wants to push anyway, which is pretty interesting. We'll go back row. I think it's better to play around Blue Mountain Elite than it is to play around the Bowman, just because Mountain Elite going off is worth a lot more than Bowman going off. So we'll go for that. He's going to remove it. Okay, that's cool. So now we're getting presented with a pretty interesting opportunity. We can, of course, just Ghoul now, and that will get us ahead on Spear Tip. I think we do it, although it will kind of incentivize him to bleed us more. You know, potentially he'll have the opportunity to actually push us out if he has some kind of way to knock Ghoul down. You know, some kind of reset or big damage effect. You know, high strength removal, Geralt, whatever. But now we might not be even losing our card, depending on how things shape up here. So we could just Imlerith's Wrath. I think that's probably the play I'm going to go with here. Take the 6. It's not too much, but it gets us ahead. And I don't see him having very big units in the future, so I think we'll get that card out of the hand. The rest of our cards are pretty damn good here. We've got an 8, of course, and an Osrel. And if we have to, we can use the Woodland ability, you know, to survive this round. To be fair, our top decks might not be amazing, but the same can probably be said for him. He's used Witches, he's used Chiron X, he's used quite a lot of tools at this point. Alright, that's going to be a Chiron. Doesn't really do too much, honestly. I think we're pretty content to play the Unicorn out. Now, interestingly, we could even use Woodland ability if we're scared of him, like, bleeding, you know, too hard here. And I think we probably are okay to do that, actually. Like, I'd rather we are able to keep the Osrel than our leader. No, what I'm saying is... whatever, guys. I think this is fine, basically. Also, like, if, yeah, it maybe makes him not want to play this last card. I don't know what that is, but...
Any last words?
Okay, it is a Geralt Jörden, so... I mean, fair enough. He could have actually probably just won this game by taking a dry pass. And we're, of course, going to be able to survive here, just about eating the Goliath. So, I mean, in reality, that play was actually correct, right? I mean, maybe not playing the Woodland Spirit ability, but we would have had to do it anyway. And maybe telegraphing to him that we didn't have a strong hand, so he then thought he could play the Jörden, when in reality, saving that Jörden for round 3 would have been good for him. Kind of debated him in some senses there, but we'll see how the top decks treat us here. I do think we probably want to get rid of Arcspore and Ancient Foglet. Get rid of Ancient Foglet first. It's a little bit too unreliable to actually work. Probably Arcspore as well. Necas really aren't great, guys. They really are not. But maybe we can get some Thrive value with the Werewolves and they'll be okay. Unfortunately, we didn't hit any of our good cards here. The Spear Tip, Chiron X, etc. And that's going to be really painful. But if the rest of his cards are damaging cards, we might be able to eke out a little bit more value than we should be able to. And it looks like we just lose, guys. That is unfortunate. We'll see. If his last card is some damaging unit, then it's possible he wouldn't be able to play it, but I think he probably just has us at least on the tie. We'll see what it is.
The time of the white frost.
Oh, it's Ida. Okay, fair enough. We just got a little bit wrecked on the draws there, only drawing into bad stuff at the end, but what can you do? That was pretty close considering we lost on even at the end of the day. And yeah, okay. Interesting deck from the opponent. Yerden is definitely a good one. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, win and then a loss. That's how it goes, guys. But cool. I think Booger Woodland is a pretty decent deck by the looks of things. Maybe could be optimized from this version a little bit more. So yeah, feel free to do that yourself. But yeah, thanks for checking this video out. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.